everyone and welcome to this video. So today I have a manga haul, which is going to be the first one in quite a long time. I don't know exactly how long, but I think it's been like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. So yeah, I haven't stopped buying manga, I just stopped filming it because I would just get like random volumes that I pre-ordered. And then at the start of this year I stopped really getting any manga aside from pre-orders that I had already made before the beginning of the year. And now I'm in a position where I can continue to buy some more, so I've kind of just gathered up what I've gotten in the past few months, and that's what we're going to be showing off today. I also have my first light novel series, which is exciting, and honestly it was kind of the push I needed to, you know, catch up on some series that I had neglected in the time that I wasn't really buying. I will say, so a lot of these volumes I've bought off Sci-Fi, not all of them, but a lot of them I have, and this is the stack of bookmarks that I have from Sci-Fi for these volumes, which is insane. As someone, like, obviously I like Sci-Fi, I appreciate them, they have been very helpful when I've had issues with volumes. I love the prices and the deals and stuff. This I think is a bit much. I think this is such a waste. Obviously having 1 or 2 bookmarks in order is fun and nice, but I think this is just such a waste because who needs this many bookmarks? Sure, if they want to do these bookmarks in the future, that's fine, but maybe tone down the amount of bookmarks, please, because this is insane. No person needs this many bookmarks. And this was from, I think, 3 packages? I didn't mean to start it off so negative, but I just kind of wanted to bring that up because it's just like an insane amount. So I basically just have 2 boxes full of the manga that I've bought beside me, and I'm just kind of gonna pick them up and we'll go through as we go through. So starting up, we have volume 10 and volume 11 of the Apothecary Diaries. So this obviously has gotten very popular recently with the anime coming out, which I did watch, and I am very, very happy with the adaptation as someone who has been reading the manga for a long time before it was even announced that it was getting an anime. But if you aren't aware of the story, it follows a apothecary in historical China. I don't know the exact era, I apologise, and I'm not too well versed in Chinese history. She basically gets kidnapped and is forced to work in the palace, and it kind of just follows her kind of hijinks that she gets involved in regards to her apothecary knowledge within the palace. She eventually becomes a food taster for poison for one of the concubines, and that's kind of the starting point of this series. But I'm sure anyone who reads the series recommends it a bunch, and it is definitely worth the recommendation. The way the mysteries tied together are always interesting, and we love Mao Mao. We love her as a main character. So yeah, I've been slacking a little bit on getting these volumes, so I'm glad I think I'm caught up now. I don't know when volume 12 comes out, but I'm pretty sure I'm caught up now, which is good. Next up, we have volume 8 of A Condition Called Love. This is one of my favourite kind of high school romance series. It is just very, very sweet. Obviously, this also got an anime adaptation recently, which I thought was very surprising. And I watched the first couple of episodes. I can't remember how many episodes I watched, but I stopped because, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit disappointed for various reasons in regards to the anime, but I will eventually go back to watch it. But I adore this series so much, and I believe it's on hiatus at the moment, and then we're getting the final arc, which I'm both excited and sad about. I am happy to see where the ending is going to go, but obviously I'm sad that I'm going to be losing a series I love so much. But this just basically follows this girl called Totoro. She's unsure about romantic love and is unsure about how people who are in love will put, you know, their romantic partner above all of their friends and family, and she meets Hananoi, who is kind of the opposite, where he only believes in romantic love and having that one special person, and they kind of try to navigate having a relationship together. Obviously in the beginning a lot of people were like, oh, Hananoi's, you know, kind of obsessive, which is true, but he has some great character development, and I think it's worth it to persevere through. I think they have a very sweet relationship by quite soon on in the series. So yes, I highly, highly recommend this as a very good high school romance series if you haven't already checked it out. And then next up, following the romance train, I have volume 5 and 6 of Cinderella Closet. This one I actually read literally the other day, and I love the series so much. It's just so good and refreshing, but I just really love the idea and the concept. It follows this girl who I am blanking on her name right now. I apologize. But she moves to Tokyo from the country when she starts university. I don't know. Oh no, it does have a cover. And she has a whole list of things that she wants to do when she moves to university, and she ends up falling for a guy at her workplace, and one of the things that she wants to do is experience, you know, a romance within the city. But when pursuing the guy, she ends up meeting this guy called Hikaru, who dresses in female clothing, and he kind of helps her discover elements of her femininity that she wasn't like too sure about, to give her more confidence in pursuing this guy. And yeah, it develops from there, and I really have enjoyed how this story has kind of unfolded, especially this volume. As I said, it's very fresh in my mind because I just read it, even though I can't remember what the girl is called. What is she called? Haruka. I thought it was, but I was like, isn't that so similar to Hikaru? But yes, it is Haruka, her name is. This delved a little more into like the fashion industry and working in the fashion industry, which I thought was really interesting. And yeah, I know there's only 8 volumes in total, so I'm very sad that it's so short, but I am excited to see where it goes from this point on, and I literally cannot recommend the series enough. It's very refreshing as well in the like romance genre scene, I feel like. So yes. Next up, we have a series which I feel needs no introduction, Yona of the Dawn, volume 41. I love this series so much. If you aren't aware, this is one of my favourite series ever. As I said, I feel like it needs no introduction, but if you aren't aware what it is about, it is a historical, fantasy, political series, a little bit of romance, but it's very slow burn, and I struggle to recommend it as a romance series for that reason, but I thought I'd just throw that out there in case you're interested in that element. And it follows Yona, who is the princess of this country, and when a certain happening happens at the palace, she is forced to leave with only her bodyguard, and from there she gets to see what her country really is like, because she's only lived in the walls of her castle. And yeah, I'm sure that was a very vague description, but genuinely cannot recommend this series enough. I believe this is another series that's like in its final arc now, which is actually very sad because I've been reading the series for so long, but I am excited for an ending, and with what's going on in the manga at the moment, I'm just like on the edge of my seat every time there's an update. So I can't wait to see what is done with the ending of this series. I'm so excited. Another series I've been reading for a long time, Black Butler, volume 33. This is also, I believe, is on hiatus at the moment, and then it's going to go into the final arc, or the penultimate final arc. I've still got the sticker on from when I bought it. I can't tell if that's dust on the cover or if it's supposed to be there. Well, I apologise for the dust. So I believe it's on hiatus at the moment, and then it's preparing for the final arc at the very least, which makes sense from where we are in the story. It also recently got a new season, which is insane to me. I can't believe we're living in the era where Black Butler got a new season. Absolutely crazy. If you don't know what Black Butler's about, it is set in Victorian Britain, and it is about a child earl who has a demon as a butler. The simple explanation is he is trying to enact revenge on his family. Revenge for his family, for them being killed, but it's a bit more complicated than that. But that's the very simple bare bones, and at the same time he acts as the queen's guard dog, and like anything that she wants being done in like the underground side of Britain. I feel like it's a series that like you either love it or you don't care for it, or maybe hate it, which is fair and valid. Once again, along with Yona of the Dawn, this is the series I've been following for the longest, so I will continue to follow because I enjoy it still. So yes, that's Black Butler volume 33. Next up, we have I Cannot Reach You, volume 7. This is a very kind of plain and simple BL romance series about these two childhood friends, one who has had a crush on the other for a while. That's a spoiler. One who has had a crush on the other for a while, and the other one who's kind of like realizing that his friend has these feelings for him. And it's just a very simple high school romance story, but I really like childhood friends to lovers, and I've been enjoying it. It is a little bit slow burn, so like if you're someone who likes your romances more faster paced, I wouldn't recommend it. But other than that, yeah, I've been enjoying it very much, and I'm excited for the next volume whenever that will come out. And then following that, we have I Hear the Sunspot, 4 Seasons Volume 2. It's a little bit confusing because there's been so many like different parts to this story. So you have the original first one, and then I believe it's Theory of Happiness, and then there was a 3-part volume series called Limit, and then this is following that, so it's 4 seasons. This is the second volume of it, and this is also a BL romance, but I feel like it's much more focused on the drama element than the romance element. And it follows Taichi, who is in university, and then Kohei, who is also in university, but he is hard of hearing. Basically, Taichi starts working as a note taker for Kohei in university to help him in his studies, and they develop a relationship from there, and it kind of extends into going into the workplace and kind of like their dreams for the future and things like that, which is an element I really enjoy of this series, on top of the relationship between the two of them, even though there is a lot of like drama and angst, and there's just always something happening which, like, you know, you just want them to be happy and like catch a break, but like it never happens. There's always something going on, but I very much enjoy this story. Also, the art on the covers is always gorgeous, like. And then next up we have Usotoki Rhetoric, volume 5, 6, and 7. This series I remember adoring when I first read it. I read it when it was announced it was getting an English print, and I was so excited, and obviously I'm continuing to buy them to support the author. And it is a mystery series set in 1920s Japan about a girl called Kanako, who is this girl obviously in the front, who has the ability to hear lies, and she basically gets taken in as the assistant to this detective, and they help solve mysteries together. And it's a primarily like episodic mystery. There is a ongoing like storyline throughout, but it's primarily episodic, and it kind of also follows as I would say a relationship does develop between these two, but it's much more of an emotional connection relationship rather than a romantic one, even though it is a romantic one. Does that make sense? You don't get many like actual romantic interactions between these two, but you get to see them form a like healthy dependence on each other, and it's very sweet to see, and the mysteries are intriguing. I love how it unfolds. I really enjoy the art in the series as well. It's also only 10 volumes, so it's not a big commitment, so I hope more people check this out because it is just a nice simple mystery series. I actually, because it's been a couple years since I read this, I don't remember a lot that happens in the actual mysteries, so once I get volume 10 I will definitely be rereading to re-experience. I only remember like 2 of the mysteries off the top of my head, so yeah, I think that'd be fun. I know some people don't have a lot of like rereadability from mystery series because it's like, oh well, you know the end goal, but for me, I forget the details so easily sometimes, so like it's gonna be like re-experiencing it for the first time. And then we have a new series that I decided to start picking up. I've been wanting to for a while, and I've always kind of convinced myself not to, but in the end I have given in, and that is Monthly Girls Nozaki-Kun. So I have the first 5 volumes here. This is a series I absolutely love the anime of. It's like one of my biggest comfort anime series. It's mainly a comedy, and it basically stems from this guy who writes shoujo manga, and a girl called Chio who is in love with him, but she kind of like messes up a confession and ends up becoming his assistant, and it's just a whole bunch of like comedy shenanigans in regards to him making shoujo manga. So if you look inside, it's just like a 4-coma like comedy series. So as I said, the anime is one of my favorite like a comfort, you know, just put it on and enjoy series. And I've always wanted to check out the manga. I always was put off just because it is that 4-coma style. And I actually did try reading it before, but I struggled a bit just because I was trying to like blitz through it all like I would a regular manga series, but that's definitely not the type of series it is. It's definitely a pick up when you want some lighthearted fun, read for a little bit until you know, you get bored of it, and then wait until you feel like picking it up again kind of thing. So I thought having the physical volumes would help a lot with that actually, and I could just pick it up and go. I don't know exactly where the anime ends off, so I'll probably just read it from the beginning maybe. I'm undecided, but I am excited to check it out. And it's one of those series that from now on I'm just gonna get like a couple volumes every time I get some manga or make a manga order. But yes, excited to have this series. It's by the same author that also did Summer Teacher, so I don't know if that's intriguing to anyone, but those that series. And then we have Wandering Witch: The Journey of Elaina Volume 5. This is originally a light novel, but I am reading the manga adaptation, I decided. I prefer reading manga adaptations if they have one, but it follows this witch called Elaina who basically just goes off and explores the world and comes across various people and stories. Normally, the stories aren't always happy. Like, it's very much a luck of the draw. What is she gonna find? Is it gonna be something fun? Is it gonna be something horrific? And some of these stories in here get really dark. It is very episodic. There's hardly any like actual continuation throughout what happens, but it's always interesting to see the different things that Elaina comes across in her journey. And one thing I really enjoy about this, funnily enough, is Elaina herself is a very realistic portrayal of what someone would be like when you come across these situations, because as much as you think you'd be like the heroic trying to help out everyone, she's very much, it's none of my business, I just want to go off on my journey and do my own thing, like I don't want to be involved. And that sometimes she does things and you're like, Elaina, how could you? But like it's very entertaining. So if that sounds up your alley, episodic fantasy adventures that has a mixed bag of emotions, then I would recommend this series. It does also have an anime, so maybe check out the anime first if you're unsure, and then give it a go, because I know the light novel's very long. So, and then next up we have a Korean manhwa, which is Who Made Me a Princess. We have Volume 4, Volume 5, and Volume 6. This is my favourite Korean manhwa. I love this series very much. So I was so excited when it was getting a physical release. They also have very, very pretty editions, which is always nice. This is a series where someone is reborn as a baby, and she remembers a book from a previous life, which she realises she is a character from. And specifically, she is the princess that gets killed by her father on her 18th birthday. And so she is trying to avoid that fate, obviously, as much as she can. That was Volume 6, and this is Volume 5. So she's trying to avoid that fate as much as she can, but it doesn't always go to plan. And yeah, it sounds very similar to a lot of the typical, like, I was reincarnated as the villainess, stories. But I really enjoy this take on it. The art is stunning. I love the characters. I love how this story develops throughout it. I am excited to read this physically once I have all the volumes, just because the way that they've done the layouts, it differs from the webtoon version. So I'm interested to see how they kind of like incorporated it in a book format. Please give this one a go. As I said, at the very least, the art is gorgeous, even if the story isn't your thing, but I really enjoy how the story unfolds, and I really love the series. I know it's also getting a Chinese animation, Donghua, so that also might be a route, which I think is based off the light novels, so there are some differences, but still maybe give it a go. We have Gazing at the Star Next Door, Volume 1 and Volume 2. This series I adore. I cannot tell you what it is about it. I mean, this is another childhood friends to lovers kind of series, so maybe that is the element I enjoy of it. I also really enjoy this author's previous work, Ran the Peerless Beauty, which I also hope gets a physical print eventually, but for now I am very satisfied with this one. Again, I really can't tell you what it is about this series that I love so much, but there's just something about it that like brings me joy. So it basically follows like these two childhood friends, as I mentioned before, but I can't remember their names. What are their names? So we have Chiaki and Subaru, and Subaru is a up-and-coming model / celebrity, and so Chiaki is trying to kind of support his career and not be someone who could cause harm to his image and things like that, and it kind of just follows their relationship while dealing with that kind of circumstance of these kind of growing feelings but not wanting to impose on his image. And yes, I can't tell you what it is specifically about this series that I love so much, but I really, really enjoy it. The art is also very pretty. It's a case where I feel like the art in the volume is actually prettier than on the cover. I will say I'm not the biggest fan of these covers. I don't like all this white space personally. This wouldn't be my personal, you know, choice on how to do these covers. You know, I will take it because I'm just so happy to have this series physically. And as I said, I really hope they do Ran the Peerless Beauty as well, because although I do have some issues with that series, at the end of the day, I still really enjoy it and like it. So yes, that is Gazing at the Star next door. And then next up we have Witch Hat Atelier Volume 12. It just got a trailer shown for the anime, which is super exciting and it looks so good. But this is a fantasy series that follows a girl called Coco who has always admired witches and wizards, and she wants to pursue that line. Unfortunately though, because she wasn't born a witch or wizard, she is unable to, but she peeks in on a wizard doing magic and tries to copy them, and it results in something bad happening, and so she is kind of forced to be taken in by Kifri, who is that how you say his name? Kifri? I've always thought it was. And gets taken in basically as an apprentice by him, kind of because he is forced to because of what she has done. It is a series that is so beautifully woven. The art is so imaginative and creative, the way it uses the panel layouts, and it's just a well-considered fantasy story. I will say I'm not caught up. I really need to, and I definitely will before the anime comes out, because as beautiful as the anime looks, because of the way the art is done is so unique to the manga, it's going to be completely different regardless. So yeah, I will probably start again from the beginning just because it's been a while since I stopped reading, so I'm a bit fuzzy on the details. As I mentioned before, I forget the details so easily. So I do plan on catching up at the very least before the anime. I'm probably going to try and catch up by the end of the year though, just because also since the anime announcement happened, or like the trailer announcement happened, Witch Hat Atelier has filled my timeline, which is great, except I want to avoid spoilers, so I might be forced into catching up sooner than I originally planned. But yes, highly recommend any fantasy lover read this series. Next up we have another Korean manhwa. This is Why Realiana Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion. This also got an anime adaptation last year, I think it was. I read this series so long ago. It was my first like series of this specific like subgenre, which everyone knows now. Like it's kind of taken over, but at the time, like this was one of the first. It was one of the first to do what it's done, and it's still to this day one of my favorites. It was just like when you read it for the first time, it was so unique and interesting in its concept. Again, it follows the storyline of our main character having died and reincarnated in the body of a character from a book that she's previously read. And that character is fated to die at the beginning of the novel, and so to avoid this, she makes a deal with the male lead of the original novel. And from there, she's kind of unsure on how this is going to affect the original plot, and we follow the relationship between the main two as the kind of book plays out without the female lead appearing when she should. I can definitely understand if someone hasn't read this series and has read a lot of the other kind of like reincarnation into a piece of media sort of stories or villainous stories, you might find this one kind of like the same as the others, but I still want to recommend it just because it was kind of one of the original like inspirations behind them all. And regardless, maybe it's the like nostalgia talking for me, but I have read this since reading some more and I still like it more than majority of the ones I've read. So yes, I will say the anime adaptation was very hit or miss, so maybe don't go the anime route unless you just want to hear their voices. And next up we have another new series that I picked up, The Fragrant Flower Blooms of Dignity. Again, I've already read this digitally, so when it was getting a physical print I was so excited. I was actually recommending this one on like polls and things, so I'm glad it picked up. But this one I would describe more of a kind of coming-of-age high school drama series. There is obviously a romance between our main two characters on the front here, which is a big element of it, but I would much more describe it as a general coming-of-age, general relationships between teenagers, like friendships and as well as romantic ones. And the way it's portrayed and done is so beautiful. The art is also very unique. Like in a sea of kind of similar faces, I find this art very refreshing. And basically the plot is that we have these two schools that don't really like each other, and I believe it's an all boys and all girls school. One is very like classy and preppy, and the other is more seen as like a delinquent school. And the main guy, Rintaro, his family runs a cake shop who what's her name, Karuku, I believe, she frequents, and they kind of develop a relationship from that cake shop, and it kind of extends out to obviously having to deal with the problems between their schools and their friends and things like that. And that was probably a bad explanation, but seriously, if you like any type of slice of life, you know, real drama relationship things, I would recommend this series. Even if you are only there for the romance between these two is also very, very sweet. So yes, recommend. I also adore the colours that they've chosen for this title for some reason. I just think they're very pretty and they complement the art very nicely. Okay, next up we have quite a few volumes of the light novel series that I have started picking up. And that would be 86. So 86, a couple months ago I watched the anime for and absolutely fell in love with the story. And upon finishing the anime, I decided for the first time that I wanted to pick up reading from the light novel. So I've ordered from where the anime ends to quite far in. I started with only just like the first couple volumes, and I decided to just pick up as many as I could at the time, just so then I have the next volume ready for when I can read it. Unfortunately, volume 7 is out of stock everywhere, so that kind of sucks. So I might have to read that digitally. I'm currently in the middle of reading volume 6, as you can see my little bookmarks in there, which I have been enjoying very thoroughly. But this is a sci-fi political war drama, is how I would describe it. It follows this country called Mongolia, who are currently in war with this force called the Legion. But rather than fighting them themselves, they have kind of ostracized all of the people who don't have silver hair and eyes into the outsides of the city and are making them fight the battle for them. So obviously there is a big topic on, you know, racism, and hey, did you know racism is bad? But I think there is a lot of nuance with the different characters. But yes, to be honest, I recommend the anime over the light novel just because one of the things, or majority of the things I loved about the series came from the visual direction and the audio design, the sound design, which obviously doesn't exist in the light novel. So I was actually genuinely kind of worried with like starting the light novel and thinking I wouldn't enjoy it because it didn't have those elements, but I definitely still am enjoying it, and the light novel itself isn't bad per se. I just think that the anime manages to elevate an already amazing source material, so I would start with the anime personally, and then if you're interested, do what I've done and continue on with the light novels. One day I will go back and read the first 3 volumes, but I was more concerned with finding out what happens next rather than going back from the beginning to see, you know, the differences and the changes. But one day I will. This isn't caught up. There is a volume 12 as well, which I'm not in a rush to get because obviously I'm still in volume 6. But yes, so this is my first light novel series, which I'm very happy that this is my first one. And who knows if I'll, you know, try out more in the future. It's definitely opened my eyes a bit to light novels, but I'm not in a rush to try any others. And then next up, we have a series that I thought would never get a physical English print, and I was proven so wrong, and I'm so happy about that, and that is Last Game. So we have volumes 4 and 5 here. This is a romance series that kind of technically starts at an elementary school, and then it very quickly speedruns up to university/college, and then we follow the main characters from there. But this is one of my ultimate favourite, like, comfort romance series. And I actually own this in Japanese because I thought it would never get an English print. But, as I said, I was happily proven wrong. But we follow these 2 characters. We have Yanagi, who basically has been blessed since birth with, you know, looks, smarts, riches, all these things. And he's always the first in everything. And when Kujo transfers into his class and kind of gives him a reality check that he's not going to be the best at everything because she starts to beat him in everything, and he makes it his kind of life goal to beat her. He kind of chases her in an attempt to beat her in grades and things like that, and eventually is like, oh, I know, what if I made her fall in love with me, because then I can reject her and then that will be a way of her losing. And obviously in the process he realizes that he actually has feelings for her, and so the majority of the series is just him kind of having his feelings and trying to get them through to her, while she just tries to navigate human relationships in general because she's never had many friends and things. It is very lighthearted, very silly. You know, you're not going to get any intense drama or things. It's just a very fun, relaxing series, and I recommend it if that is your type of thing. It is very slow burn, very, very slow burn. If you don't like dense female protagonists, do stay away from this. But if you enjoy things like Kimi ni Todake or maybe Maid Sama or Special A, I would recommend this series. As I said, I love it very much. It's very dear to my heart. So I'm so happy that it exists in a physical, like officially licensed print. Thank you, 70s. Doing God's work. And then we have volume 3 of I Want to Be a Wall. This is the last volume in this series. Very sad about, because I have very, very thoroughly enjoyed this series. It follows a asexual woman and a gay man who get married kind of for appearances' sakes, and just kind of the struggles and difficulties that they've had to deal with in their lives due to the fact that they're different from everyone else. And yeah, I genuinely can't recommend the series enough. I read this volume literally last night and I was like tearing up at it, so I really, really think it's worth reading, even if obviously the subject matter doesn't necessarily interest you. I do think it's important to read series like this that are like a kind of outside what you typically would, just to kind of give you a new perspective on different things and elements. So I'm always on the lookout for things like that. So if anyone has any recommendations which kind of does a similar thing where it kind of explores a kind of subject area to give you more insight into it, I would be appreciative, especially since this one's over and now I need something to to kind of fill that gap. But yes, really, really recommend. And in the end it's very wholesome, and that's what I enjoy about it. And then I have another new series, so I got the first 3 volumes of My Lovesick Life as 90s Otaku. I believe this is only 4 volumes total, so I've read the first 2 and then I'm saving the 3rd to read with the 4th whenever it comes out, which I'm not too sure when it comes out. This is a series which, to be honest, I wasn't originally interested in getting, and then I saw a lot of people say how much they enjoyed it, so I wanted to give it a shot, and I have definitely enjoyed it. It's very simple, light-hearted. Obviously a lot of people compare it to like Watakoi because it's kind of a similar theming, you know, otakus being in love kind of thing. I personally think Watakoi is better than this, having read that earlier this year. However, I still enjoy this and what it's trying to represent. To be honest, I don't really care about the romance in this at all. I just care about the main character's story and dealing with that. So that's my favourite element of it, and just kind of also seeing the like the 90s otaku lifestyle I enjoy as well. So those are the elements that I would recommend it for. Essentially the story is just following this girl who's trying to hide the fact that she is an otaku as she makes her way through high school. It also starts in like kind of the modern day, and it's kind of her like thinking back to her school days, which is an interesting element to it, I think. But yeah, it's much more about kind of just exploring what it used to be like for people who had these interests and things, and how they felt like they had to hide these interests because they were embarrassing or various other reasons. And yeah, I recommend it if you just want a light-hearted read that, you know, covers topics of otaku-ness. But other than that, I would say it's not like a must read, but it is only 4 volumes, so maybe my opinion will change once I read the 3rd and 4th volume. But that is that series. And then we have A Sign of Affection Volume 8. This also got an anime earlier this year, which was a really, really good adaptation in my opinion. So if you are a fan of this series, I recommend checking it out. But this is a series that has gotten very popular in, you know, the romance scene, and for good reason. It follows Yuki, who is deaf, and Itsuomi, who is multilingual and has a very big interest in other cultures, and a relationship that develops between the two of them because Itsuomi's kind of interested in sign language and learning about a deaf person's world. There's a reason it's so highly like recommended because not only is the relationship between the main two very sweet and healthy and all these things, but on top of that, the care that is given to displaying, you know, things within the deaf community as well as the other cultures that Itsuomi kind of explores, I think is very obvious to see when you read the series. And it's just, there's kind of like, if you enjoy romance series, there's kind of no reason not to check it out. It also takes place in university, so we have some, you know, aged up characters if you are sick of your high school romances and things. But yes, so that is A Sign of Affection Volume 8. And finally, we are at the last volume in this haul, which is Reliving My Life with a Boyfriend Who Doesn't Remember Me, Volume 1. I am so excited for this series and to see where it goes. It has an interesting concept which may not be unique, but the way it's done and the themes it explores is very interesting to me. Basically, we have, this is a purely fantasy series, so it's not a isekai or reincarnation or anything like that, and it follows this girl called Oriana who is dating this guy called Vincent. However, something causes him and her to both die, and when she dies, she is taken back to when she is 7 years old, I believe. I can't remember if it was 10 or 7. But she then makes it her goal to obviously stop his death from happening. But he wasn't brought back with the memories of the previous life, it was only her. And so, you know, she's trying to protect him and all these things, and he doesn't really get it because, you know, she has all these very strong feelings for him, but they've never met before and things like that. And I think it's just a really interesting take on this kind of story. The mystery element is interesting as well, to try and figure out you know, what happened, why they died, / were killed, / all of those things. And yeah, the art is also very pretty. These covers are gorgeous. So I really, really recommend, from what I've read so far of this series, I would recommend this. And I'm very excited for Volume 2 to come out. I don't know when it comes out, but I hope it is soon. This is also, so this is based off a light novel, and the light novel it's based off has the same author as Hi, I'm a Witch, and my crush asked me to make a love potion, I think that's what it's called. So I know some people enjoy that story, so maybe check this out also if you enjoyed that. But yes, with that is the last thing in this haul. We got there eventually. I feel like this haul was very romance-filled, which I think is very interesting, because at the moment I'm very much like not into the romance genre. I feel very bored of it. So I find it interesting that actually that was a large amount of what I bought. But you know, sometimes it just be like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye!